Welcome once again to the Credit Bank Small Business Spotlight, where we spotlight inspiring business owners. We learn their stories and they share what drives their success. This episode is sponsored by Credit Bank, where you can get up to $500,000 in working capital with monthly payments in less time it takes you to drive to the bank. I'm your host, Irv Cruz, and today I have a very special guest. We've been trying to get her on for a while. She's finally here. I'm excited for you guys to learn her story. Please welcome Brittney Iten. She is the owner of Saucy Chops. Britt, welcome to the show.
Hey, Irv, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yes, finally. We've been trying to put this together for a while, and you're
Yeah,
finally here. So
for
everything's
sure.
good, and take us through your journey. So I always like to start these episodes about the very beginning. Why did you start the Saucy Chops business, and tell us all about it and what it is?
So, Saucy Chops, it started with the sauce, believe it or not. It's funny to say. It's a
Ooh,
cocktail.
okay.
Yeah, it's a cocktail napkin name or thought rather than the vision, I guess it started. It happened the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. I have a large corporate business background, and we were all shut down for however many months, years it was. We were in
Right,
that
right. It felt like
pandemic.
a lifetime.
Yeah, right. And so I was in Florida at the time visiting some friends, and we were just, shooting the shoot. And I was like, I just, I don't know what to guys, keep this PC, Brittany. Yeah, so I was like, I'm born in Colorado. So I've always had this vision of what would it be like to own a food truck. And so I was like, I'm going back to Colorado and I'm starting a food truck called Saucy Chops. And it started with the name. I like the way it rolled off my tongue. The vision was always to be loud, aggressive, based around, scratch made sauces on Americana classics. So the sauce was born on a cocktail with a little sauce in me, I'd say.
Okay. I like that. Keep on.
Yeah. And then from then on, I came back to Colorado and kind of just put the metal to the floor or pound to the pavement and just did a bunch of research, permitting, licensing, where the truck, started with a truck and then I moved on into a trailer. So I actually have two mobile units now,
Okay.
a sauce line that I offer online and to retail and, catering, all the above. So it's about the sauce.
Okay. And tell us a little bit more about the sauce. How did you first come up with, like the recipes, and where do you source your ingredients?
Okay, so yeah, definitely. I started with one of my main staples, and I call it the G Chili Peppa Steppa,
Ooh,
which is
I like it.
yeah. So it's kind of it's a family recipe. It's green chili. So if you know a lot of bit about Colorado, in New Mexico, we always have this feud between who has the better green chilies. And so I say Colorado has the best green chilies. And so I source all of my chilies from Pueblo, which is going to be about an hour, 2 hours south of Denver, I'd say. But it's seasonal, right? So we end up buying bushels at a time, and we roast them and we pill them and we bag them and we tag them, and then we bring them out to make the recipe. And the family recipe goes back to, I don't even know, I guess my great grandmother and aunts making it. But I've tweaked it a little bit, kind of for the modern day taster. It's definitely on the spicier side, but it's I offer it vegan and gluten free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So,
that's one of the sauces, and then other ones. Everything has like a double entendre. So I'd say like my number one seller off the truck is my Dirty Bird, which is a Nashville hot style sandwich with the dirty sauce, which is a buffalo style.
and are you the one that comes up with the names, or do you have
Yeah.
like a gathering of
Yes.
the minds and say, let's come up with something a little snappy, something that's gonna.
I'm definitely gonna say it's me. I think I'm kind of comical at the end of the day, so I things to remember. You like, what's the Dirty Bird? Like, what does she mean by Dirty Bird? Well, yeah, it's a Dirty Bird. It's a panko fried crusted chicken sandwich with buffalo sauce, and it's Dirty Bird. It's dirty. Put it in
Yeah,
your mouth. Eat it. Like it.
that's awesome. And what did you do, like, as you were getting this business off the ground? What did you do to market yourself and let the public know that you're out there and these are the flavors you're going to bring to their palate?
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I started in corporate background. So
Okay.
I used to work on big brands such as Heineken, Miller Lite, Coors Light, so on and so forth. So I came to the table understanding what brand awareness was, my target audience was. So I started with just the logo, which is actually a chili pepper tongue in lips. And then just kind of wanted it to be like very comic book in your face. So like Saucy Chops, a lot of people think I have pork chops, right? Because it's, correlated with food, but it's really the chops, kind of like lick your chops, like Looney Tune style, like very comical in your face. Once make sauce drip sauce, print money at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad you gave us some color on that, because when I first was made aware that you were going to come on the show, I was thinking pork chops too.
Yeah,
That
for
was
sure.
the first thing just by looking at the title. But that double entendre, lick your chops. I think that's very, very clever.
Thank you.
How long have you been in business?
So it'll be 5 years this September.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so hitting that 5 year benchmark, it's make or break this year. No, I'm actually doing quite well. I'm excited to roll out. I'm at a new semi-permanent location with one of my trailers. I'm ever evolving with the menu. I mean, I'm not pigeonholed into a certain, a style of food, right? I'm not a taco
Right.
truck. I'm not a sandwich truck. Although a lot of my items do come across sandwichy, but it's just because it's handheld, right? Something you can get off a truck and go grab a beer at the brewery, or
Right.
walk around a festival with, which is kind of our main staples in terms of revenue builders.
Okay. And as you know, when you're first starting out, when you're starting out a new business, it could be tough to secure the financing. It could be a little capital intensive. How did you manage that early on?
So I was actually blessed with an angel investor, someone who was close to me, who was very business savvy, definitely knew my background and also believed in my hustle and my drive.
Okay.
So that was definitely a blessing. And I think I had some capital of my own. So just I pretty much put my background and then obviously the dollars to start it into just full on like um, any kind of business plan you would start with. Like, what does the permitting look like? What does the licensing look like? What does the actual bones of the operation cost? Because like I said, I have a truck, which is a 28-foot Freightliner. I name my trucks Lester is the name of the big truck.
Oh, is
And then yeah,
that okay?
Lester B. Moore, yes. And then so going back to the marketing piece, is it's very loud. It's Tiffany blue. It has the lips all over it. It's very in your face. Like you can't miss it. Like I get free advertising every time I drive up and down the interstate, headed to a spot. And people definitely look Saucy Chops. You see it come out of their mouth like, what is Saucy Chops? So in effort how we are these days with our phones, right? We see something enticing and people automatically go to my website or my social media, which you can tell I do a lot of posting and videos and interactions with the consumer, always trying to engage and keep, top of mind.
So, are you generally just in one location all the time where people know to find you, or do you kind of move around throughout the day, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I do both. So the big truck, Lester, the one I just was mentioning, that's kind of like my drive around uh, Denver, kind of central. I do a lot of like corporate lunches, lunch outings, and then we do festivals. So a lot of like 3-day festivals or concert series, so on and so forth, graduations, weddings, all that good stuff. And then I have the trailer, which I'm just trying out for this first season, but it is at a semi-permanent location because I say food truck is very seasonal in Colorado. And so that is at a beer garden in Wheat Ridge, which is a little subsidiary of Denver, right outside Denver.
And how do you get those gigs? I mean, are they by invitation only? Do you have a person that's handling your marketing that throws your name out there and tries to get those venues to
Yeah,
bring your truck into?
I say a little bit of both. A lot of it, I try to say the food truck world is very niche or tight. Either there's ones that like operate together and we're like, hey, are you doing this festival? Are you doing that festival? A lot of it is pay to play. Um, you have to do an entry fee or application fee. And if your cuisine and your marketing and what you bring to the table is a good fit for that particular festival, then you
Okay.
will get tapped in. Because like there is, I mean, I would say, there's over, I think, 500 trucks operating in Denver alone. So
Wow.
there's definitely chomping at the bit. So
Do you find it to be, somewhat of a crowded space? And
I
how do you
do feel
how do
like,
you make your way in that space too? It's a
yeah,
kind of double
definitely.
question.
I do feel like it's oversaturated sometimes. A lot of these promoters do like to get as many different cuisine styles as they can fit into maybe their food truck space in the build out of the actual activation of these festivals. But it just depends. It's like, who do you know? Do you have the capital to put down in order to like get your slot vested? Either they'll take an upfront payment or they'll take a percentage of your revenue. It just
Hmm.
kind of depends on how it is. And again, it's a double-edged sword, right? They need us to be there to offer food to their consumers, but yet we have to pay to play to be in there in their space. So it is what it is. It's dog eat dog.
Yeah, but you look back and you're able to determine, is this route worth it?
Exactly. Is that ROI there at the end of 3 days? And
Right.
I would say most of the time on a 3 day festival, yes, it is. And then the ones that aren't, you're not doing it again. Because there's a lot that goes into a festival. There's a lot of prepping, there's a lot of logistics. Where am I going to store all this food? How am I going to keep the hot food hot, the cold food cold? And then employees, right? You definitely, if you're doing anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 people in a day, you need at least 4 or 5 employees helping you turn and burn all that product on the truck.
And you can actually fit all of those employees in the truck, or
Exactly. The
it,
truck definitely, and the trailer. I would say the trailer 4 is about tops, but
okay.
we can. I mean, I have my point of sell to order take. I can actually do 2 at once. So like somebody can be taking an order from the window, and then I can have somebody outside taking from the line and doing credit card transactions, and then it prints the ticket up on the truck, so we can try to execute as quickly as possible.
Yeah, just to keep it moving as
Yeah.
smoothly as possible. So how do you keep, in one of these festivals? I'm always curious. How do you know how much, let's call it inventory, if you
Right.
will? How do you know how much inventory to have and ensure that you're not running out and you're
Right.
feeding these people as they come in, because all it takes is one person to get a bite of something really good, and they're telling somebody else and they're telling somebody else, and that's what you want too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how do
Definitely.
you how do you make sure you got enough?
That's Irv, that's a great question because that is always a question we ask ourselves. And so we do like to do the repeat festivals because we know what to expect now going into it. The new
Okay.
festivals are the ones is you ask the promoter, like, okay, what is your goal? How many tickets are you going to try to sell per day or total of the 3 days? And then you're like, hey, well, I want to at least try to capture 10% of that. And then you're like, okay, well, this is
Okay.
how much I would need to make these mini pork sliders or these mini Cubano Locos or these mini Dirty Birds.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
And then just depending on where the festival happens to be at, there are some festivals that offer storage or refrigerator space.
Oh,
So
wonderful. Okay.
yeah, there are ones that do that, and then there are some that do not. So then we're over here renting U-Hauls and throwing in freezers and plugging them in, and so we have enough French fries, and then we're selling French fries to other vendors who ran out. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
interesting. It's a very eclectic thought process, methodical thought process when it gets into festival season, no doubt.
Well, that'll bring me, actually, that kind of ties into my next question, because you know every business, or running a business, it certainly has its challenges. So what would you say in your space would be like the biggest challenge or hurdle, and how did you overcome it?
Ooh. The biggest hurdle I would say is, and I say this, employees. Not that you need them, but because I operate seasonal, you get the good ones on, and then you have to end up not laying them off or just put them kind of on the back burner when it comes to the holidays in the winter season, because
Right.
we're not putting enough through. So that is why I kind of shifted gears into more of a catering, and then also my sauce line, so I can actually still have work for my star employees, along with bringing in residual income from myself, in those slower months, I'd say. And then at the end of the day, it's weather related. A festival, if it's a concert outside and it's snowing or sleeting or hailing, it's hard, right? Nobody wants to stand in line and go to see their concert, even if they paid for a 3 day, festival ticket. So it's definitely weather related, I say. And then now, as we're getting into these new tariffs and taxes, food costs are going to be a huge, implicator of how we kind of pivot, I think, in these coming months in this season.
Right. Tell us about your sauces real quick, because you
Okay.
mentioned you branded, you came up with this brand. Is this something that a a fan of the sauce can purchase online? Do you ship across the U.S.?
Yes.
Can you only get it at your truck? I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
No, definitely. I offer all of my varieties online. So you can go through saucychops5280.com and place an order. And I say about 2 weeks from place of order to doorstep, you can receive those. And then you can always get it off the truck, 100%. So that's definitely somewhere you can try the sauce and buy the sauce, I like to say. And then moving forward into this season, we're going to start wholesaling at retail. So TBD on that.
So I want to talk to you about one of my favorite sandwiches
Okay,
because
okay.
you came up when we last spoke. You came up with your own unique version of a Cuban sandwich. Talk to us about the Cubano Loco, which is a great name, but I want to hear all about it and what's in it and how it's going to rock my palate.
Uh-oh. Okay, Irv, hold on now. Here we go. So ideally the Cubano Loco was created because who doesn't like a nice Cuban sandwich?
Of course.
Right. And I'm not going to say it's traditional because one, getting the Cuban style bread from, Cuba or from Miami or somewhere where you have a natural humidity level, it's just the bread does not work here in Denver or Holt as well. So I decided to switch it up a little bit, and I use a traditional Mexican style bolio bread, which is going to be kind of like your torta style, like very fluffy, airy, big. And then, it's going to be your pulled pork. It's going to be your ham. It's going to be your Swiss cheese, your pickles, and your mustard. So all that traditional.
Right.
However, I enhance it with a mojo sauce, which is a traditional Cuban marinade for pork. So the Cuban is made on the flat top, put together, bubbly, cheesy goodness, and then it's served with the side of the mojo. Which literally you want to bathe in that after you try this sauce because it's delicious. It's going to be citrus, garlicky with a little bit of heat on the back end.
Ooh, man, I'm hungry. It's
Yeah.
almost lunchtime, and I think I'm gonna go get me a Cuban, but it's not gonna be a Cubano Loco.
Not. If
So,
I'm ever in your neck of the woods, I'll do my best to recreate it for you.
listen, if I find myself in Denver, I've got to have this Cubano Loco because those flavors that you described is something that I know I'm gonna enjoy very, very much. So, where do you see yourself in, say, like the next 2 years? Any great growth plans or goals that you have in mind that you want to, hit to take your business to the next level?
I would say in the next 2 years, I definitely would like. I've never been a brick and mortar just because you're married to it. But if I happen to end in a brick and mortar in 2 years, just because there would be a part of my concept with maybe a few other business owners, because I've been kicking the rocks on some ideas recently in the kitchen. Funny, we all talk in the kitchen about what's our next move. But ideally, I would see either multi-state operator, either bringing one of my units to another state or building one in another state, whether it be Austin or actually down in Florida. I've looked at as well.
So would it be a franchise model
It
per
would be,
se,
yeah,
or
it'd be a franchise model. I would probably start as sole proprietor, but maybe franchise it out or build it out. Just because it just depends on who's invested, right? Do you believe in the sauce, or is it something that I still need to manage from state line to state line? But I do see growth, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not getting any younger, so we've got to grow, right? Because
right?
we're doing what we do well now, but let's grow. So whether it's more sauces, getting into local grocery stores or local on-premise accounts, growing into maybe more of your chain stores, whether it be a Kroger or a Whole Foods or a National Grocer.
Yeah, I think that would be, almost nirvana is to have your sauces in one of those big chain stores
Yeah.
and
Just need one. Give me one, baby. Come on, give me one, and then let's go.
well, there you go. So that and that actually leads into my next question. So if you had the perfect resources and support in place, whether it's financing or otherwise, more teammates, people that you can expand your business with, if you had those perfect resources in place, what would you change for your business almost immediately to get that ball rolling?
Mm. I would probably um, get into cahoots with a co-packer
Okay.
and really build out the sauces and say, hey, like, because I'm right now this year, I'm gonna build the story of, hey, I sold XYZ cases online off the truck, or at small retail,
Right.
and then take that into that's how I build my story and to get into one of those larger big box stores. Like, hey, I did, 500 cases of this sauce, and I believe that I can offer it to you for this, and let's put some marketing dollars behind that, and let's go.
Wow, that's fantastic. So,
Yeah. So
Brittany,
my consumer product goods is one of my corporate backgrounds, if you couldn't tell.
right.
So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I think you've got some great aspirations, and I certainly would like to see that, manifest for you. It's been great learning about Saucy Chops and how it all came about, and great learning about your awesome Cubano Loco.
ooh.
For those listeners that want to connect with you, how would they do that?
I think the best way would be via social. I mean, Instagram is probably my number one, and Facebook, but just depending on the demographic. So it's Saucy Chops 5280. A lot of people ask, what's 5280? 5280 is a mile high above elevation.
Oh,
So
right.
my
Okay.
my sauces will lift your taste buds a mile high.
That is a great
Bum,
slogan.
bum,
That
boom.
is a great slogan. I had a clap for that. That's pretty awesome. Brittany, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. To our listeners, if you've enjoyed this spotlight, be sure to tune in and subscribe for more inspiring spotlights. Until next time, I'm your host, Irv Cruz. We thank you for joining us on the Credit Bank Small Business Spotlight. And Britt, thank you once again. I wish you all the success that you can handle.
Thanks, Irv. Thanks for having me, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, click here to watch another exciting episode.